Brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Morning, everybody. Brand new week. 7 o'clock, exactly. 7:00:00. -7 outside. Today's feels like February. Ollie with you in Studio 1. Very quiet place. Cabin radio this week. No Mr. Wheeler this morning. No Sarah this week. Corinne, the intern, has gone back off to Ontario. Goodbye, Corinne. Thank you for everything. Lecter's just popped in, though. There's Lecter. Hey, Lecter. We wave at Lecter from afar. He might even make it to a microphone in the next minute and 21 seconds. You never know. And Penny the puppy is here. Shout out to single parents this morning. I am... morning, Lecter.
Thank God for those long intros, eh?
Yeah, hey. Whoever built those intros, they knew us.
They knew what they were doing.
Shout out to single parents this morning. I am a single parent of Penny this week. And, well, you'd be amazed what a dog can do before 7 o'clock in the morning when they know that they're being single parented and it's the moron parent, not the one that knows what they're doing.
She's got her bone there. I think she's good for the rest of the day, though.
Oh, okay.
She's pretty
I don't recall giving her a bone.
Or her horn.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Same thing.
Okay, that's good. Where did she get a bone from? This is exactly the problem I'm having. Yeah, it's been a testing 25 minutes.
Don't worry, Ollie. Uncle Scott's here now.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, that's the most reassuring thing I've heard in ages. Oh, relief. Yeah, we've already there's been chaos in the parking lot so far this morning. We got to work and she ran around. She was so disappointed. She's used to getting here after there are other people here. She burst in. There was nobody here. She turned around and looked at me. She's like, "You traitor!"
Oh, what a waste.
Where have you put them?
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Mornings at the Cabin. Ollie, Lecter, Penny, the Cabin radio puppy, hanging out in the corner of a studio, chewing on a horn. This is very Northwest Territories radio sometimes. Morning, Lecter. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I do have to say, yesterday, that was fantastic. I turned out I wasn't done with snow so far this year.
You weren't?
I thought I might be.
Oh.
But we went out for a walk, the dog and I, and the snow was that perfect kind of snow that forms a snowball at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
You tell it, "I'd like some snowballs, please." It's like, ba-ding, here they all are. And, oh, the fun we had.
So you introduced the fun we had. Penny looks at you. Yeah, oh, okay.
All right, the fun I had. The fun I had throwing balls up in the air for the dog to catch, only for the dog to be like, "Hey, what happened to the ball?"
Oh, it's all over my face.
Yep, let's do that again 20 times.
Penny.
So, one of us had fun.
Yeah.
The other of us seemed to be doing okay, but one of us definitely had fun. Yeah, I don't know. I realize that it's probably an unpopular opinion in the middle of April to be jazzed by snow, but I was for it yesterday.
Well, I had a moment yesterday afternoon where I realized what was going to happen because I was taking the dogs around the block of 52nd Street, right in front of the new Yellowknife Daycare building.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, there was no one there, on a Sunday to clear the snow from the sidewalk. So it was all kind of, slushy and gross and footprints, dotted along it down the sidewalk. And I was like, well, it's probably going to get cold tonight. This is all going to freeze and be crunchy and uneven and awful. And lo and behold, this morning, sometimes I just have these amazing predictive abilities. And I wasn't about to do anything about it to help the situation, apparently. But
do what? Like what? Go out with a hairdryer across town?
Shovel, old-fashioned way.
Okay.
I was just going to assess the situation and then be disappointed when it inevitably happened.
Fair enough. Yeah, today, god awful. Yesterday, great. I got a message at one point yesterday from someone saying they thought maybe the airport was going to have to ground flights because of all the snow coming in. So I went and listened to air traffic control for a little while. Did you know you can do that?
I did not.
Yeah, there's a live feed of air traffic control from Yellowknife.
Can anyone do that, or can just Ollie Williams?
No, anyone can do it. And just went and listened to it, and it was quite entertaining listening to the little back and forth between the pilots and air traffic control. There was a pilot of a Boeing 737 sort of got as far as the runway and just went, whatever it is, flight 844 to control.
Yeah.
Roger. Well, there's piles of snow on the runway. I think we're going to head back. I enjoyed that. It's not often I think you hear the phrase "piles of snow" from an airline pilot waiting to take off on a commercial airliner.
Do you know where they were coming from? Did they just head back to?
No, they were on the ground. They were contemplating leaving. They sort of tootled on out to the runway, and then took one look at
I
it, and we're
see.
just like, ha, nope.
Sorry,
And
I thought you meant they were coming in from like Edmonton, got to the runway, and we're just like, back to Edmonton.
Well, that does happen.
It does
of course.
happen, yeah.
There are plenty of people. I think I've been in a hold for about an hour above the runway here before we finally landed. And I know there have been instances of flights that have made it all the way up here from Alberta, sort of like hovered around Yellowknife for a little while, doing a sort of will she, won't she, and then gone back and said, nope, sorry, not happening.
Nicole has a great story about that happening to her while returning from a Vegas trip with friends. And you can imagine what state you're normally in coming back from a Vegas trip. And she was basically in tears when it became apparent that they were not going to land and they were going to head back to Edmonton. It was not her finest day.
Let's be honest, often those are not the greatest planes to be told you have to spend 2.5 more hours in.
No.
So, yeah. Condolences to you if that's ever happened to you. But, yeah, I did enjoy the pilot of a Boeing 737 just saying, nope, piles of snow. Don't think we're going to take off right now, kids. So, yeah.
So now here you are single parenting for the week.
Now here I am, single parenting for the week. And you can, if you listen very closely, you will hear the occasional crack of a dog chewing on what I believe is the horn of... Now, this has been billed to me as a lamb horn.
Oh,
To the best of my knowledge, lambs don't have horns.
So she slaughtered a lamb herself.
Slaughtered a unicorn.
Yes.
Like, lambs don't have horns, so she can only have slaughtered a unicorn. So the cabin radio office dog has killed a unicorn, killed a fantastical creature, and is now chewing on the remains.
Well, at least she's making good use of it, right?
Right, exactly. She learned a skill. What more can you ask for, really, as a single parent?
Cabin Radio's Morning Show podcast. All the best chat, none of the embarrassing mistakes.
So, my own midnight, 7:37 a.m. confession is, of course, what I confessed last week, that even though I may be wearing a Las Vegas Golden Knights hoodie, that does not mean I know the first thing about the sport that they play. I was, of course, in Sutherland Drugs last week. Someone asked me, are they in the playoffs? And it was a 50-50 shot. I got that right. Then, sadly, they followed up with, who are they playing? And I hadn't got a clue. But I know now. I went and looked it up. I realize now it is the San Jose Sharks.
Yes.
Yeah. And Vegas now leading the series 2-1. I can even tell you that. Because I follow the Golden Knights Twitter account, which is the funniest thing in the world and the only reason I own the hoodie. Luckily, the host of Cabin Sports Radio 6 till 7 tonight is in the studio with us, and we're very proud to welcome, it's you again, Lecter, to tell us what's going on.
Now, we've talked about your issues with the NHL playoffs before.
We have. Well, the fact that I don't understand, and I think very few Europeans would understand, why you're playing an 82-game season only to start it all again. You play an 82-game season that literally nobody cares about. You guys watch it all like a sort of previously on the NHL. and then lo and behold, like the postseason starts and everyone's like, oh, thank the Lord, here's the actual hockey.
Yeah. 82 games of character development. Yeah. And then we finally start to get some payoff.
Yeah.
What is so hard to understand about this? This is good show running, Ollie. This is good writing.
It's just such nonsense. Anyway, so yeah, we've made it to the playoffs. And here's there is one particular series that you want to spotlight that is keeping you.
I want to spotlight all of these series.
Okay,
but
well, we've got
enough time in the morning.
7 minutes maximum, so you can't.
Well, here's the thing. So you just said 82 games of nonsense. Why do we even bother playing them? They get washed away. You are correct in a sense. The 82 games is finishing the best team after the 82-game season. There is somewhat minimal payoff. You get home ice advantage. That's essentially all you get.
Oh, gee whiz.
Whether you're the first place team or the, potentially eighth, or I guess somewhere around there in the league, you just get the same amount of home ice advantage. Tampa Bay gets no more advantage than the, team that finished sixth overall. Aside from playing the worst team in the league. That's the advantage they get, potentially.
So that is nonsense. Carry on.
So, 82 games, you would think, well, Tampa Bay was by far the best team in the regular season. Why are we even having a Stanley Cup playoffs? Just give them the Stanley Cup. They are the best team. End of story.
Agreed.
They are down 3-0 in their opening series to the lowly Columbus Blue Jackets. And you know what? And beyond that, I will say that there is only one series in this entire NHL playoff so far. All of them are 3 games in. All of them are maximum 3 games in. One series is going as expected. That being the Carolina Hurricanes Washington Capitals series. The Capitals are up 2-0 on the Hurricanes. Everyone saw that coming. You know, they might get swept. Other than that, every other series is, I would say Vegas and San Jose is arguably the other one that people thought might go this way, with Vegas being up 2-1. Other than that, the Blue Jackets up 3-0 on the Lightning. The Blues up 3-0 on the Jets. The Islanders are up 3-0 on Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is chaos, Ollie.
It's mostly chaos because the puppy's standing on my headphone cord right now.
I thought you were slowly like having brain fluid leak out of your head because this NHL chat was just draining you.
Will you get off that? One moment. Look,
Penny. Penny, we're trying to run a radio show.
Okay, I don't need headphones. It's fine.
There you go.
Here you go. You chew on those. Okay, yeah. So I got my more long-standing issue with this. I got two issues. We know about the whole, like, why are we doing a regular season when we just go for the playoffs? I've complained bitterly about that before.
Yes.
The other one is I find the NHL so hard to follow because you people insist on this whole salary cap and the bad teams get the good players gig. And it like the Columbus Blue Jackets are supposed to be bad, really bad. Last time I checked in with the NHL a few years ago, the Columbus Blue Jackets were like the team you played to feel better about yourself. and now suddenly they're in the playoffs to do, well, how did they do that? Well, the answer is, you're actually chewing those headphones. Don't do that. The answer is that, like, everyone was nice to them. And, like, you can't have all the nice players because it'll cost you too much money. And then, look, here, give them some of the nice players. And now, okay, now you're good again. Well, that's nonsense. I much prefer soccer where, like, that there's, like, 6 teams that can reasonably win the thing.
Right.
And the rest of them are rubbish.
So you're more of an NBA fan, is what you're saying.
Well, does the NBA have a salary cap?
The NBA has a soft salary cap.
Well, what does that mean? Does that just mean that, like...
That means that you pay, I think you pay a luxury tax if you're, to the league, if your salary is over a certain amount. Like, there is a cap, but you can go over it.
Okay.
And you just have to have money to pay.
So what we're saying is, if you've got so much money that you can pay all the good players, you get charged a little bit of extra money for having so much money.
Yes.
Yes, I can see how that would be an incredibly efficient and equanimous system. The
problem with that, with what you were just saying, though, is that only works in theory because the Edmonton Oilers have been getting all of the nice players for the better half of the last decade, and they're still awful.
No, and I've long admired them for that because they took a principled stand, Scott.
Yes.
They realized...
Interesting way to look at that.
They realized that this was simply
this is not fair.
It was a dumb system, and that the safest thing to do to illustrate that to the rest of the league was to demonstrate how you can ruin player after player.
Oh, they're so selfless.
Yeah.
So selfless.
And I admire them. And the thing is, it's a dynastical thing. It's not just one GM or one person at the Edmonton Oilers.
No,
it's actually now been like several people, one after the other, who have upheld that same standard.
Very combined effort.
Yeah. Of understanding that it's important that the team suck.
We have standards to uphold here.
Yeah, the Leafs, on the other hand, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, going around like occasionally beating Boston.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes.
We will see how that goes. Meanwhile, I do have a confession to make.
Go on.
The top item written on the morning show topic board.
Yes, which was supposed to happen on Friday and got passed over. Anyway.
Reads, Wheeler versus Ollie playoff beards.
Yes.
Well, Scott, I forgot about that. May have shaved yesterday morning.
Okay.
And so I don't know what that means for the Vegas Knights at this point. Like I'm sure some hex has just been placed on the team that won't be lifted for a century. But yeah, that I've ruined the playoffs.
Well, they won yesterday, so I don't know. You're probably okay.
So have I just started a new playoff clean shaven?
I think you're just proving that you've got nothing to fear. Jesse has got everything to fear. But I am very much looking forward to this Wheeler versus Ollie challenge. This is a long play challenge. Beard growing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say, would you say it's a long play challenge? Like
not in hair length.
We're talking like my heirs may have to take over the challenge for me, right? Like it's a kind of maybe half-century long challenge to get me to grow a beard. But we'll do what we can. If you ever turn up for Work One Body, it looks suspiciously as though someone has shaved the puppy. You'll know where my beard came from.
Oh, that'd be a beautiful beard,
wouldn't it? So soft, it smells. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'll get the ladies. I still feel though, if you walk around and just say, "Well, would you like to pet my beard?" It's a little bit weirder than with a puppy.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast was recorded before a sort of live, thankfully not in the studio, audience.
And we have a brief correction, I believe, on an earlier break this morning, where, guess what? On this side of the desk, I did not copy edit the hockey chat well enough. Tell me more.
I may have induced some panic. Apparently, I said that the Jets are down 3-0 in their series. This is not the case, Ollie. They're only down 2-1.
Well, I knew that, Scott, of course, and I just sold you out on the air. I was like, haha, look, Lecter made a hockey mistake. I'll just let that slide, and it'll be funny. I in no way just didn't notice because I don't know the first thing about hockey.
Shout out to Nicole for catching that.
Impressive, Nicole.
Yeah, she's paying attention. My mom, of course, texted me as well. She caught it, too.
All the women in your life.
All the women in my life.
Immediately ran for their phones and were like, Lecter, you made a hockey mistake.
They keep me accountable. And my mom was especially potentially having an issue with this. She said, I've already had my disappointment for the morning, finding out that banana and chocolate Greek yogurt is really terrible. Don't take away my Jets win.
That's a rough way to start the week.
She's having a rough morning.
Oh.
And I just about made it worse, but no, they're only down 2-1. Big win last night in St. Louis.
All right, well.
Anyway, let's move on.
Good for you, Winnipeg. All right. Mornings at the Cabin. Game of Thrones, first episode, season 8, was last night.
Yes.
And I love saying that out loud because immediately 27 people just whirled around to their radio and yelled, no spoilers! Don't you dare, Ollie, don't you do it. Don't worry, because I have this wonderful, wonderful skill whereby I completely forget what happened in any Game of Thrones episode about 7 minutes after it aired. I watched the whole thing last night. Could I really tell you anything that happened? I'm going to give you my full review of the show right now.
Let's hear it.
Full review of the show. Like
Wait. Sorry. Do you want me to hum the music in the background
Could
for
you?
this? Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Okay. So they first of all the new intro sequence is new and it has new buildings in it. That was exciting. Then there are some soldiers and some people start looking kind of grumpy and sad at each other. There was a gruesome moment where somebody died, and then there was foreboding. Honestly, the part where I just said there was that was very good, by the way.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, it was very nice.
right,
maybe that should be the new Mornings at the Cabin intro.
I feel like there might be some copyright infringement there.
I
but,
don't know that they'll ever pick up on that.
They'll never notice.
They use sophisticated technology to match songs to know whether or not no technology exists to realize that was the Game of Thrones theme.
Well, they're appropriating our culture here with the whole King of the North thing. Well, that's,
Oh, okay.
Come on.
we're going to have that battle with HBO, are we?
I think the Snow King will be all over that.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great. There's nothing quite like having a white British guy at the face of a cultural appropriation campaign. Okay, so in other words, I watched the full thing last night. I couldn't really tell you even if I wanted to what's going on in that show. I sat down just before it started and realized I don't have a clue what's happening.
Well, so when was the last episode you actually watched?
Well, it was August 2017, last time the show was on the air.
Yeah.
Now, there was no Cabin Radio for a start in August 2017. I think we'd had a Facebook page for 2 months.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot has gone on in my life since August 2017. And I watched the show. I've seen every single episode. But how long has it been on the air now? Like a decade, pretty much? I mean, like practically, like, even if it was one season a year, then it's been on for, obviously, like, this is its 8th year.
Yeah.
You asked me to remember any detail of, 2012, 2013, 2014. Like, I could pick out the occasional fuzzy memory, but I have enough trouble constructing what happened in my life, never mind what happened in the lives of 77 different people, each of whom has been variously, assaulted, killed, otherwise brutalized. It's just, I don't have the space in my head for it.
Right.
So I sat down at the start of the show and just thought, what's going on? And then, I don't think it's going to give away too much to know that, one of the dragons is batting for the other side these days. And
Careful.
No, is that veering on the edge?
Well, I guess at this point, if people haven't caught up past, to episode 1, season 8, it's probably
come on,
their own fault.
It's your own fault.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I saw someone post something about the Red Wedding the other day, and I thought, well, is that a spoiler alert? If you haven't seen that by now, then come on.
Well, and I feel like for even people who haven't watched the series, that's the one thing they kind of have an inkling about. That's the one thing they've kind of had spoiled for them by friends who do watch the show is, the Red Wedding. Oh, get ready for the Red Wedding.
There are people just outside our door. It turns out they're just going into Atco next door. I honestly thought people had already turned up with pitchforks after I'd mentioned the dragon.
People!
No.
No torches? Okay.
Okay, we're good. We're good. But
Continue.
yeah, I have a very minimal grasp at all times. It's one of those shows, and I do this with a few shows. Did it with The Wire as well, where I watch it with Wikipedia open.
Yes.
And immediately on the end of the episode, I will go to like the episode summary of the episode and read what I just watched, and be like, "Oh, right, that's
it does
who
make
that
sense
was."
now.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I would watch whole episodes of The Wire and be like, "Well, I think I heard 7 words." Yeah, like I'm not the greatest parser of a Baltimore accent,
Right.
so I would go on and be like, what did they all say in that episode?
Well, so Game of Thrones, they're all English accents. You should be right up there.
Yeah, but there's just so many of them, and they're all so interweaved. And there were at least 4 moments last night where like faces would appear on screen for the first time in the series, in the season at least. Sorry,
Ooh.
so like just like because I mean like they're reintroducing characters from last season,
Oh, okay.
right? So it's just
Right.
like ta-da, here's like the first shot of this character for this season. And there are at least 3 or 4 times where I could imagine everyone else across North America is going like, "Oh, there they are," and I'm just staring at the screen going, "Who's that?"
Who's that? That's Jon Snow, Ollie.
Oh, that's that guy. That's that guy.
All right.
Okay, yeah, and he's who again? Yeah, I am that person. I'm
Oh.
losing my headphones to the puppy for the second time today.
Penny just doesn't want this morning show to happen.
No, if you're just tuning in, I am single parenting the Cabin Radio puppy this week.
She's like, Ollie, you're getting dangerously close. You just end this break. Don't spoil anything.
yeah, the puppy is editing the breaks, basically. It's dragging me away from the microphone.
Thank you, Penny.
Yeah, she's doing a great job for all you Game of Thrones fans who have not seen episode 1, season 8, which you did not.
I have not.
Okay.
No.
But you rewatched everything pretty recently, I think, or you got to season 7 pretty recently.
We got fully caught up, like just after the new year. So everything is still reasonably fresh. I'm not going to say that I'm up to date and I'm going to be any further ahead than you were, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, that's essentially my approach to Game
Yeah.
of Thrones. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
give it a
game.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll watch it and like,
See if it makes sense.
partake in casual office conversation without having the first clue about what's actually happening. It'll be great.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
It has happened. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. I am already probably spending as much money on individual streaming services as I would have been on cable if I still had it.
The future is here.
The future is here. I thought it would take much longer than that to con me out of that much money. But here we are. The full list of streaming services that I now subscribe to because they've all got something or other that I wanted to watch. Netflix, obviously. Amazon Prime. DAZN, which is sports for people who are... And it's also the world's weirdest pronounced thing ever. It's spelled D-A-Z-N, and they insist on pronouncing it DAZN, which almost is grounds not to subscribe to it. But it has cricket and some other good stuff. It's got all the Premier League soccer from next season, so that has to be on the list. MLB.TV, Major League Baseball. Baseball has become my new cricket in the background. It's just sort of wallpaper to my day. TSN, which has a really good live service, and I was watching the golf on that on the weekend. It's got Formula One, some of the soccer as well. And, of course, Crave, because last night HBO Game of Thrones needed to add that as well.
Yeah.
So between those 6, probably forking out roughly what I would have been paying for cable, if not a bit more, bit less. Can't really remember what cable cost me.
But you're happy about
But
it.
I'm happy about it. And the reason I'm happy about it is I feel like I'm actually buying things I wanted.
Yeah.
Whereas with cable, it always felt like you were spending a tiny, tiny proportion of your money on the things you actually wanted to have. Like, I don't know about you, but there were maybe 3 channels that I used with any frequency on cable.
Yeah. Well, and throughout the years, there was always, do different promotions and incentives, and the wording would be like, get the channels you actually want to watch. And it was like, okay, yeah, cool, that sounds great. And you'd look at the packages they had and be like, I want 1 or 2 channels out of this package. I want 1 out of this package. And so, yeah, you'd spend a bunch of money for like 3 channels that you actually want and like 25 channels that you would never actually watch.
8 varieties of the History Channel come with it, and you're like, History Channel +1, History Channel Kids, History Channel USA. You're like,
Right.
Okay.
Well, especially as a sports fan, it's getting to the point now where streaming is as good a quality, if not just as, even not better than broadcast, but as good as the broadcast standard of quality.
Yep.
And you don't have blackouts.
No, which were always such a nonsense.
Oh, God.
And watching the golf on TSN's live stream yesterday, Chromecast to the TV,
Right.
so crystal clear that I actually at one point stood in front of the TV and just marveled at it. I just stood there. I was like, this is the most glorious picture I've had. Like, I think I've ever had on a TV.
Look at that blade of grass.
Honestly, it was like that. I just stood in front of it for a couple minutes. It was just like, I cannot believe that I've got such a good picture from this thing. It was so good. In Yellowknife, in the capital of bad streaming issues. and there it was. It was actually, if your internet was running slow yesterday, it was me. I did nothing but stream stuff all day. It was the Masters all morning, baseball and soccer and some Formula One all afternoon, Game of Thrones in the evening. I just ate the internet for Yellowknife yesterday, so apologies if you had internet issues. It was me being greedy. But like you say, I am just now happy to actually hand over my money, because I feel like even if I am being conned a little, because now I'm probably being charged more per channel than I was, I at least feel like I'm paying my money for the exact thing that I wanted,
right? And
then get to go and enjoy it.
Right.
And I can cancel any of these things anytime if I don't want them anymore, and I don't feel like I have to sift through 800 channels and wonder why on earth, like, anything that begins with a 5. You're like, what are all these even for? Like, get them out of here. No, I had like 2 channels that I ever cared about. What have you got?
As far as streaming goes,
yeah, how many? How many of them have lured you in?
We're just on Netflix right now, which I feel is remarkable restraint.
It is.
Yeah. We do still have a cable package right now.
Well, I was about to say, how are you getting your hockey at home?
Still the old traditional, old faithful way.
Okay.
The nice thing about the NHL playoffs is that there are no regional blackouts anymore, so you don't have to worry about that as the plight of the fan throughout the regular season.
Well, and that is the one thing I don't have, but we've already established that my level of interest in playoff hockey could use improvement, so I can live without that. You know,
absolutely.
Sports has always been the one thing that cable companies have kind of managed to keep people attached by having.
Yeah,
because there's so many different sports across so many different channels that it's felt prohibitive to go and like figure out who you would need to pay the money to and subscribe to,
right,
to go and get them. But from like August this year, Premier League Soccer's moving to DAZN in Canada, from Sportsnet and TSN, which is going to mean, like,
shockingly, I hadn't heard that.
Frankly, yeah, right. It's the kind of news that means nothing to most Canadians, but to me it was like a real moment of like, oh, my dreams have come true. So now I know I just spend my money at DAZN. It's like $20 a month, which I happily pay to watch every single Premier League game on demand.
Right.
And then, it's got all the sports I want in one place, which is very, very exciting.
It's an interesting time.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
The future has arrived faster than I thought it would. Now, before we leave you to the 90s at 9 with Lecter from 9 o'clock, a request from me, by the way, leads off the hour at 90s at 9.
Okay.
Don't you sound surprised? I've already requested it. You're making it sound like I just dropped
I've forgotten
that in
already.
There. So there you go. You got a track requested by me, leads off your 90s at 9. Before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to Fort Providence this morning. If you did not read it on the weekend, a great story by Sarah on our website. Fort Providence hired a dog catcher. On Monday last week, the dog catcher had his first day on the job.
His first catch.
And so the dog catcher has caught 5 dogs to date. The first 2 days, all he did was drive around the community warning people, I'm going to start catching dogs. So if you don't want your dog to be caught, do something about that. The mayor says he's never seen anything like it. The whole community, now everyone has their dog on a leash.
Wow.
Previously, people were walking around with sticks to like fend off loose dogs.
Really?
Now they're walking around with leashed dogs at their sides.
Are you being serious? Like actual, there was a stray dog issue to the point where people were arming themselves to fend them off?
And that's not unheard of. In Fort Liard, people would do that occasionally as well. Just have like, not like because you were expecting to have to like slug a dog every few feet, but just because it was just prod one out of the way. There's a couple of like particularly grumpy dogs around. So it's not unheard of. I can believe that. But so the mayor, Danny Bolio, is actually a really good dog musher as well.
Right.
So they haven't built a pound yet. They're waiting for the snow to melt. Until they build a pound, they have turned his dog kennel into like a makeshift dog pound. So all the dogs that get rounded up get to go hang out with the sled dogs.
Hey.
Which is kind of cute.
That's all right.
And then there's a week-long grace period where you get to go pick your dog up. It's $50 to bail your dog out.
Okay.
Otherwise, after a week, the dogs
goes on trial.
Yes, they go on trial. Yeah, it's essentially a show trial. It's a rather Stalinist thing. Are you a loose dog? Yes, guilty. The dog is so then you get sent out to the SPCA in Yellowknife and found a new home. But if you get bailed out, then that's all well and good. So far, 5 dogs caught, 1 escapee.
Oh,
One dog escaped. I'm going to read you the description of the dog.
okay.
So Danny Bolio, the mayor, says, quote, "They call him the Legend.
The legend.
He got away from us. He tore through the fence and released himself.
Wow.
The Legend is 10 years old and walks with a limp. He slipped his collar to get away." And the mayor said he doesn't have to pay. They have such respect for the Legend that they're going to let the Legend go. There is a photo of the Legend on cabinradio.ca. I've put it next to a photo of Bruce Willis from Die Hard with a Vengeance, just as a reference point. They look very similar.
Yes.
And I just wanted to dedicate today's show to the Legend, who goes by no other name, who is the toughest, meanest, most badass dog in Fort Providence.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca.